So yeah, it looks almost identical to the regular Indian Scout, except it doesn't have the Scout logo right there. It just says Indian on it. What is up, YouTube? Today I am on the 2016 Indian Scout 60. New model, just came out this year. So we're dealing with around 78 horsepower and 65 foot-pounds of torque, which is quite a bit for a lighter bike like this. A lighter cruiser, I would say, because most sport bikes are pretty light. Most cruisers are a little on the heavier side, so you know, I'm generalizing here, but for a cruiser, nice and light. But yeah, initially, just getting on the throttle a bit, this thing has quite a bit of power still. It's definitely a smaller Indian Scout, and it feels almost the same to me as the Indian Scout. Initially, when I rode the Indian Scout, I was extremely surprised at how powerful and how quick it actually was. 100 horsepower and 70 some foot-pounds of torque. And I was like, yeah, this is not a good beginner bike. Way too much power, and it's pretty light, so it's very fast. It can get you in trouble. Indian and Victory both didn't have a kind of beginner bike, so this looks like their take on more of a beginner oriented bike. But I can say right off the bat that a beginner is not going to get bored with this bike. This bike still has plenty of horsepower. It's very easy to ride too. The clutch engages very smoothly. I did notice the suspension is pretty soft, so you can see when I'm braking here. The brakes, when you use the front brakes, the suspension likes to take a bow. Also at very low RPMs, the bike does not like, it just doesn't like low RPMs at all. Wow, the power is great. Anyway, yeah, lower RPMs, it kind of bucks a bit. It doesn't like being at low RPMs. It doesn't mean you can't ride it smoothly. You can ride the clutch and, you know, in and out of the clutch. But I'm pretty sure this bike likes higher RPM. Like I said before, the bike is super light, or I mean, the bike feels very light. I don't know if it is light compared to the regular Indian Scout, but it feels light. Everything looks exactly the same as the Indian Scout. This model is actually cheaper than the regular model also. New riders probably don't want to spend all that money on a higher model. I don't know. All of this is very subjective. This is all opinion based. Having ridden both Indian Scouts, the 2015 and 16, I feel like I have some say in how this bike rides. The seat is actually very comfortable still. You know, it's firm, it's not soft, but the shape is very nice. It holds your butt right in there. You don't really go flying one way or another. And the shape of it is actually pretty comfortable, so no problems there. Got some nice foot pegs here, nice and big. Seating position, you know, you're upright. It's a cruiser. It feels the same as an Indian Scout, so if you've ridden that one, then you kind of know how this one sits. You're sitting upright basically. It's not uncomfortable though. I'm pretty sure there's a tachometer on here, but I'm not really sure how to engage it. Let's see. Got our not readily available. That's what I can see at the moment, or it's hard to find. Alright, so the one thing I'm not liking so far is the suspension. The suspension is very, very soft. And you know what? For a cruiser, the suspension can be soft. But personally, this bike is more of a sport cruiser with all its horsepower and how light it is. It's definitely more sport oriented. So that being said, the suspension is a little softer than I would like for this bike. When you're braking and when you're accelerating, you can feel it bouncing up and down. It's not exactly annoying, it's just you don't get the same handling as one that has this proper suspension setup. Oh yeah, there's only 5 speeds on this transmission too. I'm pretty sure the Indian Scout has 6 speeds. This Indian Scout 60 has 5 speeds. 25 inches seat height. Okay, so my knees are bent quite a bit and I'm 5'11", so seat height's great. So shorter riders will definitely be able to take advantage of the low seat height. Just my thoughts on the Indian Scout 60 2016. I really like this bike. You know what? I thought it'd be like a neutered Indian Scout, which means they basically chop off the power and the good parts of the bike. But you know what? This bike is great. It's still got plenty of power. Still handles very well. The only problem is the suspension, and that's it. It's plenty fast, you know, it's cheaper than the regular Indian Scout, so if you need to compromise and get this Indian Scout 60, I don't think it's too bad of a compromise. Both of them will be immensely fun.
How'd you like it?
Awesome. So yeah, it looks almost identical to the regular Indian Scout, except it doesn't have the Scout logo right there. It just says Indian on it.